Hi, you guys. It's Saturday, and it's the sixth day of the new year. And the sixth path that we're talking about today is societal. So far, we've gone through 6 different paths on the path, the 7 paths to peace. And I wanted to combine it, obviously, with the new year and the first path being the first day. And so we started on Monday, and because it starts with an M for no other reason, I just started with mental. I actually really think the first most foundational path is spiritual, but that will fall tomorrow. So the first shall be last, and the last shall be first, I guess you could say. Anyways, so we've been through Monday, which is mental, and that, again, just a brief summary, that's just increasing any skills that you have, any hobbies, any knowledge, literature, further your education, if you want to just pick a topic and dive right into that, like the Constitution or sailing or auto mechanics, whatever. But just furthering your education and always keeping your mind working. So diving into philosophies or trying to understand two opposing sides of an issue, that sort of thing. Then Tuesday was emotional, so your emotional health. And to me, that is keeping abreast of things that could help you become more emotionally grounded, help you understand the feelings and emotions of other people, being a more compatible person, learning how to communicate better, learning how to listen better. If you're not having like a depression or other more pressing things, there's still a ton to do if you find yourself emotionally stable. Certainly not all of us are amazing communicators. Certainly if you have any intimate relationships, there's something that you could improve upon to make that relationship more successful. So any of those sort of qualities that could help you emotionally and help those around you stay grounded emotionally. So yes, of course, if you're dealing with depression or OCD or anxiety or, a trauma that happened, whether that means that you go to therapy, whether that means that you have a group, whether that means that you have a solid friend who helps you. Anyways, then Wednesday, it was physical. So those are obvious. I mean, we all know them: eating right, sleeping well, exercising, breathing. You could study the circadian rhythm. You could learn to meditate, figuring out ways to lower your stress. And then Thursday, the 4th path to peace, is financial. That could be any goals that you want to set with your investments, with business, with a side gig that you've got, with your main gig, with a job, with a career. If you want to go up the ladder, you could make steps and goals in order to get to that point, things to accomplish. If you want to increase your investments, if you don't have a retirement, always, no matter what age you are, it's always a good time to make sure that that's set in stone. I would even include setting aside some money. Like I'll talk about actually next Thursday, a rainy day account. So setting aside some money in case something does happen to you and you don't want to end up homeless. And then yesterday was social. That's obvious. It's any of the relationships close to you in your life, or they don't have to be really close. It can be a stranger or an acquaintance or something like that. The difference between the social path and societal, because if you're talking strangers, then the social path could seem societal, and they can play off each other. But when you're helping somebody personally, when it's becoming a personal one-on-one thing, I consider that more social versus when you're helping a group or a large community. But mostly social does focus on your family relationships, husband and wife, your children, aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your friends, your work colleagues, your colleagues at school, strangers that you meet, if you want to impact their life on an individual basis. And so that brings us again to today, societal. When I think of this path, this is just something that you're going to do to get outside of yourself. So if you want to think about it this way, again, I actually, if the new year would have started on Sunday, that would have been perfect. It did last year and I missed it. So to me, number one is spiritual. Okay, and you don't have to be religious. All of us have that spiritual. Even if you're totally atheist, there's something, even if you go for a hike, there's something that you feel in nature that you don't feel when you're connected to all this hustle and bustle. Or when you meditate. I know a lot of atheists that meditate and ponder on things, and that's a spiritual process. So whatever that means to you. So Sunday being spiritual, and then Monday mental, and then Tuesday emotional, and then Wednesday physical. Those first four, if you think about it, they're about you. They're about you. Your spiritual, your mental, your emotional, and your physical. Those are all about you and your constitution. And then number 5, that's your financial. And you can think of this as the first 4 are about you with your body, right? You embody all of that. You embody your spirituality. You embody your emotions. You embody your mind. As the 5th one being financial, if you think of that being as what you stand on. Your finances kind of give you a structure as the foundation that you stand on, or a house, okay, to just symbolically. But it's outside of you, but it helps to protect you. It helps to keep you warm. It helps to keep you from the elements, everything that a shelter and a foundation does for you. It keeps you steady. It keeps you grounded. And that's really what your finances are, but they are outside of you. They're not your embodiment, but they're an important part of life. They are, despite, I'm pretty harsh on the finance front, but our ancestors always had something. So we didn't use money or things like that, but they traded. Like, there was always a resource. Resources are your finance. We're put on this earth, we're here, we have to have those resources in order to get the food to feed our body, in order to again, have that protection from the elements and that sort of thing. So it's outside of you, but it's pertinent, and that's why it's one of the paths to peace. It's pertinent to all of us. It encompasses our lives. And then social is also outside of you, but it's also pertinent to our lives. We are not islands unto ourselves. We are tribal or community-oriented species. And we thrive on that, and we need that. And I'm not saying that there's not loners and people who can do without it for long periods of time, but ultimately, a good majority of us especially, we really need each other. And I think a lot of people recognize that during 2020. It helps us with the first 4, but that's also outside of us. That's our inner circle. That's the people who help uplift us and feed us, and we give to them and they give back to us, and it's reciprocal. The 7th one, the one I'm doing today on the 6th day, but the 7th path, which is also outside of us and further than the social, which is our inner circle, is the outer circle, if you will. It's the world, it's the society, it's the community, which also does give back to us. I do believe it's like the pebble in the water, there's all these ripples. We do get back what we put out. I do believe that. We do get back what we put out. It may not come in the same exact form that we put it out. We might put it out in one particular way, and we get blessed in another way. But the mind frame of it is not you getting back. The mind frame is to help society, is to be a positive entity, to leave this earth with doing something good, with impacting something or someone. So what can you do to help society? And there's a lot of things you can do. Throughout my life, off and on, I volunteered at an old folks home. I've done it multiple times, and sometimes I would meet people that were in these old folks homes that had no family visiting them, had no associations, and so I kind of became their family, and I'd go visit. There was one guy in particular that I'd visit once a week. This was when I was going to college, and we became really, really good friends. That group of people is lonely. They have a ton of knowledge to expound, and they just want to talk to somebody. You could take a Sunday, after you go to church, take a Sunday and go down there and spend an hour, spend 2 hours, bring a book that you're really interested in, read it to them, and, talk back and forth. Or maybe their mind isn't quite there all the time, and so they'd really appreciate just the company of being read to. I just know from experience that this is a group of people that really need people in their lives, and I don't like the way that we treat our elderly. I do appreciate foreign countries that have the mindset where the parents take care of the children as they're growing up, and then once the children are old enough and the parents are kind of going downhill, the children take care of the parents. I know that that's not always feasible because of health challenges and things like that, but anyways, I've gone off on just one possible place that you could volunteer. Obviously, there's food banks, there's homeless shelters, if you're into animals, there's animal rights and animal shelters. And if you can pick a subject that you're really interested in. You can pick a political cause that you're really interested in. You can pick a hobby that you would like to do that you're really interested in, but like maybe your neighbor, his wife passed away and he's a woodworker, and you're kind of into woodworking, so you go over there, and you know that he really loves to help people, so you go over there like once a week and you just spend like 2 hours with him just woodworking, where he doesn't feel like you're being a charity case to him, but like you take on that personal project. And I know that might seem more like a social goal. Most of the time it's just picking something that will help the greater society. So like I mentioned, all those causes or all those organizations that you can volunteer for. There's so many different things that you can do. I think it's an opportunity to get outside of yourself. So yes, in my situation, yes, I am picking something and I am going to be doing that. Some people would think in my situation, why would I do that? Why would I spend my time doing that? There are other things that are more important. I agree, there are a lot of things that are very important to do. When I get to my budget, and I talk about that next week, you'll also see how I allocate my money. And you probably won't agree exactly with that either if you have this same mind frame as to why I would donate some of my time. But there's a principle, and I don't know if I can really explain it, and you may not, you don't have to believe it. But I can tell you that I have felt my whole life an extra measure of protection and blessing, even if sometimes that's hard for me to see. I believe in a principle of doing for others. And a lot of times when you do for others, that is where you find that sense of purpose. That is where you find peace. That's where you stop thinking about your own problems. And sometimes you see that, like, you could volunteer for people who have been sexually abused or been sex trafficked. There's always someone out there that has it worse than you. Being in that environment does help you walk away with more perspective and feeling like you do matter, actually, because those people are so grateful that you came. If you don't understand that, I don't know what I'm going to say to help you understand. But I believe, again, it's a secret principle, because in our minds we think we're giving something away when we're so impoverished and we need. So I can't explain it, but in that giving, I can't explain it except for talking about it in a religious sense. It's like the principle of tithing. In the scriptures, it says give 10% of your income unto God. That's what it says. And what's going to happen when you do that? He's going to open the windows of heaven. Opening the windows of heaven, first of all, I believe that he gives us 100% of what we have. So I'm really only giving back 10%. I get to keep 90. You know what I mean? So rather than focusing on the 10% that I'm giving back, I get to keep 90. That's very generous of him. Plus, on top of that, again, it says he will open the windows of heaven, that there will not be, with a blessing, okay, I'm totally butchering this, but with a blessing so great that there will not be room enough to receive it. And sometimes we don't see that blessing, and some people think that means that you're going to, because it's a financial thing, that you're going to receive finances back, and I don't believe that's true. He doesn't specify finances. You will be protected in ways that you don't even know, but you will be protected, and I cannot tell you how much I've seen that in my own life. When I traveled around the world, I was single, I was by myself, and I was in a lot of different areas and in a lot of different situations. And my personal feeling, I was protected because of two reasons. One, I do pay that 10%, and two, I kept the Sabbath. And I honestly feel like I I don't know how to explain it. It's not like I'm going to say 2 + 2 and connect those dots and you're going to have a visible 4 in front of your face. But 100%, that's how I feel. And I had lots of experiences that just left me with that impression. So anyways, so society, our society is crumbling. Really, we need all hands on deck. We need everybody to do anything, something. Just do something. Just do something. I guess in a sense, I mean, yes, these are, I'm talking about the 7 paths to peace, and I'm trying to set an example in the sense that obviously, I mean, I need to do this. Every area of my life is obliterated. My example is completely measly. Most of you listening can do 10 times the amount that I can do right now. And this is me, and this is what I'm doing. You don't have to do your New Year's resolutions. You don't have to follow these 7 paths to peace. But I am imploring you, at least on this one, because our society is crumbling. Our society is crumbling. And who's it up to save? It's up to you, and it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me, right? We have to be the change we want to see in the world. We have to reach out to each other. We have to start treating each other like brothers and sisters. We have to care again. And caring is hard. And it's scary because we've all got so much hurt and baggage we're carrying around. But if the ship is going to be saved, you have to do it. If everybody feels that personal responsibility, you have to do it. Then maybe we can actually turn things right again. I don't want to make anybody feel guilty, but in a sense, to live a really selfish life and not do anything for the generation coming up, where you came into a world that was better and you don't do anything to make it better for the next generation. I mean, we're all responsible for this, and I don't always do this either. I don't, I need to get outside of myself, and I do believe, and that's the irony, you're not meant to do it with that motivation, selfishly. But the irony is that it turns back on you and blesses your life in ways that again, you don't see, and you won't always connect the dots, but it's there. It's there. It's almost like, a person in a community that's just kind and loving to everybody, Just they go to the grocery store and they start up a conversation with the attendant, and the attendant gets to know them, and they go to the same gas station, and the gas station guy gets to know them, and they go work out, and they help this lady, and she ends up always being there at the same day and the same time that you work out, and you're always like all these people just in your daily life get to know this individual, and this individual is just making a positive impact on society. And then when that individual is gone one day, all of those people feel it. And they know, and society, the world is like that. We are all interconnected, and that's hard to say for somebody who has been dealing with self-deletion feelings for so long. I mean, these are things that I logically know, I don't necessarily feel, but I know is right. So I have to start somewhere to change my feelings, but this is right too. And because I'm homeless, and because that's part of what I'm talking about in my personal vlog, again, so many people look at the homeless situation and their first thought is of finances and getting a job. And then their second thought might be drug addiction, and their third thought might be severe mental illness. But there's all sorts of reasons on an individual basis why somebody's homeless. And there are a lot of homeless people out there that are addicted to the drugs, or not taking care of their mental health, or don't care about a job or anything like that anymore because they just have no purpose. Purpose is huge. There's other homeless people that, they just lost every intimate relationship in their life and they just feel no desire to live. They don't care anymore. They do not care. There's other people that are homeless because they've lost faith in our government, in our society. They have no hope. That there are a lot of veterans fought for this country, put their life on the line for this country, and then come back and they are disillusioned for what they gave their life for, potentially any limb that got blown off or anything like that. Many of them come back with mental health challenges. And yeah, our society doesn't even take care of them. So talk about being disillusioned with what you fought for. And then they get treated like junk, being on the side of the road from the very people that they went and defended. People are homeless for a lot of different reasons. But to just think it's always a financial thing, it's not. And so if you can just connect with these people, with the veteran that I just mentioned, if you can form a connection, maybe at some point he can gain, maybe you're really good with the Constitution and our government and all the policies and things like that. And through those conversations, you can kind of give him some hope and purpose again, Maybe if it's the person who lost all their personal relationships and their intimate relationships, maybe you've been through a lot of hardship in that area, or maybe you haven't, but you just feel this complete empathy. And because you haven't, and you show them compassion and care, they'll see that there are good people, that there are people that make good choices and have compassion for other people, and that will give them hope. If it is a financial problem, maybe you have a little bit of savviness or a little bit of knowledge. I'm not big on just giving people money. An organization, maybe, but even a lot of the organizations, unfortunately. I'll say this, and I'll talk more about this later on, but here's the principle that I believe in as far as homelessness is concerned. And this is going to sound Christian. You can put any other word in there if you're not Christian listening to this. Christ does not take the man out of the slums. He takes the slums out of the man, and the man takes himself out of the slums. It's the same principle as give a man a fish and feed him for a day. So if you want to talk finances, you're going to have to go back for the next meal and the next meal and the next meal and the next meal. And then it's human nature to become complacent because, well, they're getting it for free. So why should they work for it? But if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I like to add an extra layer to that. Teach a man how to teach others how to fish, and you feed a generation. So again, if you're a little bit savvy with finances and things like that, and you meet a homeless person and that's why they're struggling so much, you can impart that knowledge. You could kind of, help him budget and that sort of thing, I'm just saying that there's all sorts of reasons, and you have talents and you have abilities and you have something in some way, whether you can help, whether you take on that cause of homelessness or you take on another cause of animal rights or another cause of sex trafficking or the elderly. There's lots of places to serve. There's lots of places to make our society better. Anyways, that's the societal path to peace. Okay? And I'll talk to you later.